Hello, I'm Daniel Murza, and I want to talk to you today about a topic that I'm very passionate about because I recently got engaged, and me and my fiance have been talking about whether we want to buy a home or rent a home, and or even rent an apartment, and just the pros cons of each of the sides. And I think my fiance as well, we've kind of been thinking, and both agreed that buying a home is more beneficial because it's an investment. It's not just for the here and now, which renting is more of that. And of course that's for every single person's situation. Maybe if you know you're going to be moving soon, obviously you're not going to buy a house so that you can only have it for a couple of months or for a year and then move on from there. So maybe that's the case with you. Then renting is definitely the better option. But all in all, buying a home is better because, first of all, you can ramp up energy efficiency. And you could do this in renting a home as well. But when you own a home, there's a lot more things you can do. And so the ways you could save money on energy, for example, what I've been thinking about and discussing with my fiance was kind of making it a greenhouse. There's a lot more when you own your own house, you could do your own renovations. You could make like change the lights and everything. When you're renting a home, you kind of there with what you already have. However the home was, that's what you have and that's what you have to work with. So the most you could do is just whenever you walk out of a room, you turn off the lights, or whenever you leave the bathroom, you turn off the faucet instead of accidentally letting the water on, or whenever you're brushing your teeth, turn off the faucet. And just that's just like minuscule things that add up, of course, but it's nothing as big as being able to install solar panels or getting an energy efficient roof, updating the insulation, air vents and everything so that the air circulation is better so you don't have to use as much AC as we do in Florida. And so that's just one of the things. Then you can also customize your space a lot more than you can when you're renting. When you buy a house, depending on how new or old the house is, you may want to renovate it, and if you're renting, you can't really do much to the house without the landlord's approval, or even you have to do everything through the landlord because you're not going to be living there. So why would you improve the your living space if you're not going to be staying there permanently? It kind of goes against what renting is. And so like if you want to make a room bigger, if you want to brighten up your kitchen, put in new cabinets or such and such, get a new floor in the bathroom, that's all possible with a house when you buy a house. But when you're renting, you're not able to do something like that. And so that's another reason that I think that buying a house can be a lot more beneficial. Also, whenever you move from rent to rent from different houses, and I've experienced this with my family because we've been living in Florida for 6 years, and every year we move. We're I think on our fourth house in 6 years. So with renting, it depends. You can't always have the same furniture, same beds, same desks as you did in the house before because the house may be different. The rooms may be a different shape. There just may be a different design in the kitchen, different design in the living room that you may not be able to have all your furniture that you had in the previous house, and it just may not fit as well as it did in the previous house. But when you buy a home, you buy it for the first time. You buy your furniture, everything it fits in, and then you have that furniture and you keep it until, let's say, something breaks or whatever. That's the only time you'd have to change your furniture. Also, owning a home forces you to save. So there's this thing called forced savings, and it's probably one of the bigger arguments for buying a home. And it's when you routinely put your money away because you're paying the mortgage. So basically, you take a loan out and you're paying that loan off every month, and you're putting that. money away basically because you're putting that money into the house, which is just an investment that you're making. Because later on, let's say you do decide to sell the house, then you just sell the house and you're going to be returning your money with interest after, depending on how the market fluctuates. Also, home ownership allows you to build sorry with if you're a homeowner, you don't have to deal with landlords, and that is something that hopefully you have a gracious landlord and they're easy to talk to and you could access them easily. I know in our one of our most recent houses that my parents are staying at, it's a lot easier for them to talk to the landlord because they just have her phone number. We had the AC break many times, and so we just give her a call and she calls someone up, and it's really quick, so that's very convenient for us. But everyone's heard many stories where the landlord just doesn't care. You're basically just living at their house, and they don't care about what happens there. Just it can be really bad, let's say, and then you'd even maybe have to fix the AC yourself, and that just creates such a hassle that you wouldn't have. Of course, you'd have to fix the AC yourself in a house that you own, but you wouldn't have to deal with the landlord and always having that stress on your life. The landlord can't kick you out. Of course, the bank can if you're not paying your mortgage. So, I mean, that's a benefit. But the landlord, you'd have no contract obligation other than your mortgage. Unlike rent, fixed mortgages can't go up. So you're whatever the rate you get on your mortgage initially, that's what you're going to be paying till you pay that house off. But rent, let's say the economy goes up, then maybe your landlord will make you pay more, so it goes with inflation. Homeowners also deduct taxes, and they can take advantage of really low interest rates that are currently going around. So I feel like there's so much more going on with buying a home. You're investing in your future. It's not just in the here and now, which I think is really smart, especially when you're younger, if you get that head start. And a story I'd like to share, one of my uncles, he's older, he's in his 50s, ready to retire already. And him and his wife, whenever they moved to America from Ukraine, they decided to buy a house instead of renting like a lot of different families did. And they didn't move into an apartment. Maybe they did, but then once they got on their feet, they decided to buy a house and get a loan from the bank. And so they bought the house. They had a big family, and as their family grew, they kept buying the house, living there for a couple of years, then selling it, then buying another house, and like kept doing that. And now with that, they accumulated more assets and money, and they have a paid off house already that they like him and his wife live in, and they pay are property taxes basically and just utilities. So that helps them out a lot, especially since they're retiring. He's retiring soon, and she doesn't work, so that way he won't have to pay as much of his pension away on rent. So that is why buying a house is a lot better than renting.